You are standing over the ball. You take the club back slow. You feel good about this one. And then the head slams into the turf a full 2 inches behind the ball. That heavy, dead thud. The ball dribbles forward like it's embarrassed for you. Your hands sting all the way to the elbow. Sound familiar? I lived that shot for 30 years. Here is what changed everything for me. In Japan, the golfers I stood next to almost never do that. Not because they swing harder, not because they were born with it, because they were taught one small thing about the bottom of the golf swing that most of us over here were never once told. And it is old, older than the graphite driver in your bag, older than the lesson you paid good money for. I am going to walk you all the way to a drill first written down near a golf course built in 1903 by a teaching man most of the world never heard of. It fixes hitting behind the ball in about 10 minutes. You can do it on your living room carpet tonight with something already sitting in your kitchen drawer. Stay with me, because the last part is the part nobody hands you for free. Let me tell you where this started for me. A few autumns back, I was on a 2-tiered driving range outside Chiba, east of Tokyo, cold morning, my breath showing in the air. 2 spots down from me stood an old man, easily past 70, thin as a rake, wearing a cardigan. And every single ball he hit made the same sound, a clean, crisp click, then a soft brush of the mat. Click, brush, click, brush. Never once that ugly thud I knew so well. I hit 30 balls and chunked maybe 8 of them. He hit 100 and never chunked one. I stood there thinking, what does that old man know that I don't? So I did the thing I always do. I got nosy. And what I found underneath that clean little click is the whole reason I make these videos, because it turns out the fat shot, the chunk, the fat one, the heavy one, whatever you call it, is not a strength problem. It is not even really a swing problem the way we've been sold. It is a low point problem. And the Japanese way of teaching golf from the very beginning was built around controlling the low point of the swing before anything else. We were taught to hit at the ball. They were taught where the club is allowed to touch the ground. That is a completely different sport, and I didn't understand that until I was standing on cold concrete in Chiba, humbled by a man in a cardigan. Let me explain what the low point even is, because this is where it clicks for most people. Every golf swing is a circle. Your arms and the club make an arc, and that arc reaches its lowest point somewhere along the ground. If the lowest point of that circle is behind the ball, the club hits the dirt first, loses all its speed, and you get that dead thud. If the lowest point is at the ball or just past it, you get that clean click the old man was making. That is the entire secret in one sentence. It is not about hitting up on the ball to help it into the air. It is about making sure the bottom of your circle lands in front of where the ball sits, not behind it. And almost everything I was ever told about golf pushed my low point in the wrong direction. Now here is the history most golfers have never heard, and it matters. Golf did not arrive in Japan gently. It arrived through one man, an English tea merchant named Arthur Groom, living in the port city of Kobe, built the first real golf course in Japan up on Mount Rocco, and it opened in 1903. 4 holes at first, then 9. Groom carved it out of a mountainside, which meant the ground was never flat. Uneven lies, tight turf over hard earth, thin grass over rock. On ground like that, if your low point is even a little behind the ball, you don't just chunk it, you jam the club into a mountain. The very first Japanese golfers learned on terrain that punished a fat shot harder than anything we ever practice on. So from day one, the low point was not a detail. It was survival. But it stayed a rich man's curiosity for 50 years. What blew it wide open was a single afternoon in 1957. A Japanese professional named Torakichi Nakamura, a small, quiet man, teamed up with Koichi Ono and won the Canada Cup, the World Team Championship, played that year in Japan. Nakamura beat the best players on earth on his home soil, and the whole country watched. Overnight, golf stopped being a foreign hobby and became a national obsession. Driving ranges went up everywhere. Those tall, netted cages you see stacked over Japanese cities, 3 and 4 stories high, they exploded out of that one win. And a nation of brand new golfers needed to be taught fast, cheap, and correct. What they taught them right from the start was ball first contact, the click before the brush. Therefore, the question that kept me up was simple. If they figured out how to teach ordinary people clean contact 70 years ago to millions of them on crowded mats in 10-minute sessions, then why was I still chunking the ball after 3 decades and hundreds of dollars in lessons? Why did nobody teach me the thing the man in the cardigan clearly knew by heart? That question is where this stops being a golf tip and starts being something that honestly made me a little angry. But before I get to that, you need to understand why it works, because once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Let me give you the science, because this is not just old country feel. There is hard measurement behind it. Sports scientists have spent years now putting golfers on things called force plates. A force plate is basically a high-tech scale built into the ground that measures exactly how your weight and pressure move under your feet while you swing. Researchers studying the golf swing, including biomechanics work coming out of Japanese university sports labs, found something that flips the whole thing on its head. In good ball strikers, the pressure under the feet shifts hard toward the front foot, the target side foot, before the club ever reaches the ball. We are talking the majority of your weight already loaded into that lead foot at the moment of impact. In players who chunk it, the pressure is still hanging back on the rear foot at impact. And when your weight hangs back, the bottom of your swing circle hangs back with it. The club bottoms out behind the ball. Thud. Read that again. Because it is the opposite of instinct. Every fiber in your body, when you're scared of hitting the ground, tells you to lean back and try to lift the ball into the air. And that lean back is exactly what drops your low point behind the ball and creates the fat shot you were trying to avoid. The fear causes the very thing you fear. The Japanese teaching method, the one built on those mountain lies and those crowded city ranges, does the reverse. It gets your pressure moving forward onto the lead foot, so the low point moves forward with it, past the ball, where it belongs. Weight goes forward, divot goes in front, ball gets pinched clean off the turf, click, then brush. Always in that order. And here's the number that stopped me cold. In the studies measuring this, the difference between a fat chunk and a flush strike often comes down to the low point moving forward by as little as 2 inches. 2 inches. Not a new swing, not a new body, not a lesson package sold in blocks of 6. 2 inches of where the bottom of your circle lands. I spent years and real money chasing a fix that was 2 inches wide the whole time, and nobody framed it that simply, because 2 inches is very hard to sell. So how did they train ordinary people to feel those 2 inches without a laboratory? This is where the old methods get clever. On those crowded Japanese ranges, teaching pros didn't have force plates and slow motion cameras when this all started. They had rice, towels, and coins, and they used them to make the low point visible, because you cannot see your low point in real time. It happens in under a second, but you can see a divot, you can see a mark. So they taught with objects that leave evidence, and that evidence teaches your body faster than any words a coach can say. That old man in Chiba wasn't thinking about physics. His body had been trained by decades of feedback that showed him, ball after ball, exactly where his club was touching down. That is the whole trick. Make the invisible visible. Now I know exactly what some of you are thinking right now, because I thought it too. You're thinking, that is fine for a golfer standing on a fancy Japanese range, but I'm nearly 70. My knees are shot. I play twice a month on a beat-up Muni course, and I am not flying to Kobe. This next part is built for you specifically, because the beautiful thing about the low point method is that it needs no travel, no membership, no new clubs, and almost no space. You can install the feeling in your body this week in your own home before you ever set foot on grass. Let me show you exactly how, step by step, with things you already own. Start with a coin, any coin, a quarter, a nickel, doesn't matter. Take it out onto your lawn or even a patch of dirt and set the coin down flat on the ground. Now, without a ball, just make slow practice swings and try to brush the coin. Or better, try to make your club touch the ground just on the target side of that coin, not behind it, on it, or past it. Every swing, look down and see where the grass is scuffed. If the scuff is behind the coin, your low point is behind the ball, and you would have chunked it. If the scuff is on the coin or in front, you just made clean contact. You are now doing exactly what those Japanese ranges have done for 70 years. You made the invisible visible. 10 minutes of that, and your body starts to understand where the bottom is supposed to be. If that last sentence hits you the way it hit me, I want to point you to something I put together called Kaizen Daily. It's a digital book where I work through exactly this kind of quietly buried method, the ones that were always simple, always cheap, and always kept just out of arm's reach. The same philosophy that brought me to that range in Chiba runs through every page of it, small, precise, daily shifts that your body can actually learn, not expensive overhauls that reset you back to square one. You'll find the link in the description below, and I think you'll recognize the voice immediately. Now, the question that kept me up was simple. If they figured out how to teach ordinary people clean contact 70 years ago to millions of them on crowded mats in 10-minute sessions, then why was I still chunking the ball after 3 decades and hundreds of dollars in lessons? Now for indoors, for the days it rains, for right now tonight in your living room, get a small hand towel, roll it up, and lay it on the carpet. Place it about a hand's width behind where a ball would be. Now make slow swings, and the goal is simple. Do not hit the towel. Miss the towel on the way down and brush the carpet in front of it. If your club catches the towel, your low point is behind the ball. If you sweep just past the towel and touch the floor in front, your low point is forward, right where it makes clean contact. This is the same drill great instructors charge for, and it costs you nothing but a towel you already fold every week. I do this in my socks while the coffee brews. My wife thinks I've lost it, but my chunk rate on the course fell off a cliff. And here is the part for the doubters about their own bodies. This does not take strength. It does not take flexibility. It takes pressure moving to your lead foot, and you can feel that standing still. Try this right now, sitting or standing. Stand up, get in a golf posture, and just gently press your weight into your front foot, your left foot if you swing right-handed. Feel how your lead hip moves a touch toward the target. That small forward press is the whole engine. An 80-year-old can do it. Someone with bad knees can do a smaller version of it. It is not an athletic move. It is a balance move, and balance is something we keep our whole lives if we practice it. That is why I saw men in their 70s outstriking men in their 30s on that range. The young ones were swinging out of their shoes. The old ones were just quietly shifting their weight forward and letting the low point fall in front of the ball. But here's where I have to stop and tell you the part that changed how I feel about this whole industry. Because once I understood that the fix was this simple, this cheap, this teachable in 10 minutes with a coin, I had to ask myself a hard question. If it's this easy, why did nobody just tell me? Why did I sit through lesson after lesson being told to keep my head down, keep my left arm straight, turn my shoulders, 100 things, and not one instructor ever put a coin on the ground and said, land your club in front of this? And the answer, once I saw it, made me feel like a fool for not seeing it sooner. Think about who makes money when you keep chunking the ball. When you can't figure out why you keep hitting it fat, what do? You blame your clubs. You go buy new irons, $300, $400, $500, sometimes over $1,000 for a full set, chasing forgiveness that the marketing promised you. When the new clubs don't fix it, because of course they don't, the problem was never the clubs, you blame your swing. So you buy lessons sold in packages, block after block, because one lesson is never enough. The whole model depends on you coming back, and underneath all of it is a simple, uncomfortable truth. A golfer who understands his own low point in 10 minutes is a golfer who stops spending, and an entire industry is built on you never quite getting there. Not through some grand conspiracy, just through 1,000 small choices to sell you the next thing instead of the simple thing. The Japanese range model I stood inside of was built differently, and that difference is everything. Those ranges made their money on volume, on ordinary working people coming after their factory shift to hit a bucket for cheap. They needed those people to succeed fast, to enjoy it, to come back happy, not frustrated and broke. So the teaching got stripped down to what actually works. Low point first. Feedback tools anyone can afford. A coin, a mat, a click, a brush. There was no incentive to keep the ordinary golfer confused, so they didn't. Over here, there was every incentive to keep you confused, and so, mostly, you were kept confused. I was. For 30 years, I was, and it goes deeper than money, because the fat shot has a psychology to it that gets exploited. Nothing makes a golfer feel more hopeless than the chunk, a slice you can laugh off, a missed putt you shrug at, but that dead thud, that heavy jarring nothing, it makes you feel like you have no control at all, like the game is beyond you. And a player who feels helpless is a player who will buy anything that promises to rescue him. The fat shot is the single most demoralizing miss in golf, and demoralized people open their wallets. Once I understood that the whole fix was 2 inches of low point, move forward with a little pressure into the lead foot, I stopped feeling helpless. And the day you stop feeling helpless is the day they stop being able to sell you the cure. So let me give you the thing I promised you at the very start, the drill that ties all of this together, the one I traced back through the old Japanese teaching lineage, the one built on that mountain course from 1903. This is the finale, and this is the one I want you to actually do. The old teaching men near Kobe had a phrase for clean contact that translates roughly to sweeping the floor forward. Not chopping down at the ball, not scooping up under it, sweeping the ground in front. And they had a precise way to train it that combines everything I've told you into one motion, and it uses 2 objects you already have. Here it is. You take 2 tees, or if you're indoors, 2 coins. You place the first one where the ball would sit. You place the second one 1 club head width in front of the first, on the target side. Now the drill is this. You make your swing, and your only job in the entire world is to miss the back object and clip the front object. Miss the ball spot, hit the spot in front of it. That is the sweeping forward feel made real. Your body cannot do that unless your weight moves to your lead foot and your low point travels past the ball. It forces the correct move without you having to think about a single body part. You just chase the front object and everything else falls into place. And here is the refinement that the old timers added, the part that makes it click for good. As you do it, you say the rhythm to yourself, not with words about your swing, with the sound, click, then brush. The ball first, the ground second. You are training your ears as much as your hands because the sound comes in the right order only when the low point is in the right place. When you hear click brush instead of brush thud, you have it. That man in the cardigan in Chiba wasn't counting his weight percentages. He was listening. 50 years of click, brush, until his body simply would not do it any other way. That sound is the whole method compressed into one moment your ear can judge. Do this in your yard with the coins for 10 minutes a day for 1 week. No ball at first, just the two objects and the sound of clipping the front one. Then put a ball on the back spot and keep chasing the front spot with your divot. What you will find, and I promise you this because it happened to me and to every stubborn friend I've dragged into it, is that the chunk starts to vanish. Not because you got stronger, not because you bought anything, because you finally trained the one thing 30 years of lessons never made visible to you. The bottom of your swing now lives in front of the ball, where it always should have. The knowledge was never lost. That's the thing that stays with me. It sat on those Japanese ranges the whole time, out in the open, taught to millions of ordinary people who just wanted to enjoy their evening bucket of balls. It was kept alive by teaching men who had no reason to hide it and every reason to make you succeed. It survived on cheap mats and coins and the patient sound of click, brush, and now it's yours. You don't have to fly anywhere to get it. You just had to have somebody finally turn it around and hand it to you plainly, the way that old man's whole life had it handed to him. Here's what I want you to sit with tonight. You were never a bad golfer. You were a golfer who was never shown where the bottom of your swing was allowed to touch the ground. That's all. Somebody let you believe you needed new clubs and more lessons and a better body, when what you needed was a coin, a towel, and 2 inches. That's not a small thing they took from you. That's years of that dead, sinking feeling you didn't have to carry. If you're the kind of person who has always suspected that the simplest answer was being kept just out of reach so somebody could keep selling you the complicated one, then you and I are the same, and this channel is where you belong. We go looking for the plain, cheap, quietly buried methods that ordinary people in Japan have used for generations, and we bring them back home to the life you're already living. Now, I want to hear from you, and I mean specifically, try the 2-coin drill in your yard this week and come back and tell me one thing. When you finally heard it change from that heavy thud to the clean click then brush, how many swings did it take you? Was it the first day or the third? Put the number in the comments right now so the next person scrolling by knows this actually works for real people and not just for me. I read them all and I answer. And if this cracks something open for you, subscribe and stand with the rest of us who are done being sold the complicated version of things that were always meant to be simple. This is a small movement of people quietly taking back what got shelved for somebody else's profit, one old method at a time. Because the next thing I'm bringing you is just as buried and just as close to home. There's a reason those same Japanese range golfers can stand on a mat for 2 hours and walk away without the low back pain that ends most of our golfing lives early, and it comes down to one thing they do before they ever take the club back. I'll show you exactly what it is. Don't miss it. This video showed you why the low point matters. But inside the Japanese way circle, I walk you through the carpet drill, step by step, right where this video stops. If it doesn't click, Ask me your own question, and a real person, me, answers you myself. You won't be alone. Thousands of curious folks like you are already inside. Just point your phone's camera at the code on the screen. Cancel any time with one click.